Hello guys, so this is lesson 2 of Financial Accounting and Reporting, ACC111. This is ULOb. The big picture in focus, ULOb. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to describe and define the fundamental business model, the different forms and activities of business organization, the purpose, phases, and branches of accounting, and the career opportunities of accountants in the industry. So let us start. So we have here first the fundamental business model. So we have here a diagram that depicts the fundamental business model. So it all starts with the shareholders and the banks. Shareholders representing the owners who contributes capital in the form of cash to the business. Or pwede rin na the capital or the cash that will be used by the business or coming from the banks. So in the form of liability or borrowing. So it is possible that walang pera yung owners, kundi nangutang muna sila sa bangko para may pang startup na kanilang business. So again, shareholders and banks will provide capital to the business in the form of cash. Now, itong cash na to, the entity will be using this cash in order to purchase, convert it into fixed assets. So, i-convert niya yan into fixed assets. So, itong assets na to, itong fixed assets na to, gagamitin nila, they're going to use the asset, gagamitin nila so that they can produce products and services. Now, in producing products and services, some of the cash provided by the shareholders and the banks as in the form of capital or borrowings will go to some expenses. Like for example, salary ng staff, payment ng utilities. So some of the cash here will be spent in order to pay the operating cost, the expenses of the business. So yan, some of the cash will be given out or will be paid to cover the cost of operations in order to produce again products and services. So pag meron ng products and services, ang gagawin ng business ay of course ibebenta nila yung products and services. So pag nabenta na, it will become a revenue, and kasi nga ibebenta nila sa customers. So pag meron na silang benta, meron ng revenue ang entity. So, pagkatapos, dalawa lang yan. It's either binayaran ng cash na ng customer or inutang na muna ng customer. So, anyhow, nor in any ways, ultimately, yung example, yung inutang ng customer, ultimately naman magiging cash yan kapag nakolekta na ng entity or ng business. So, yung sale to customers will ultimately convert it or will convert the products and services into cash again. So yung cash natin, of course, ipambabayad naman natin doon sa bank. So for example, pag nangutang tayo, so magbabayad tayo ng interest plus the amortization. Some of the cash will be returned to the provider, which are the banks and the shareholders. So For the shareholders, maybe that is in the form of dividends, dividend payments for the shareholders. So that is how the fundamental business model works. So kasi ganun yung usual or common na nangyayari sa isang business. So let us now proceed to the forms of business organization. So as we discussed doon sa other subject, that there are four forms of business organization. So dito, isa-isahin natin. So first is we have the sole proprietorship. So this business organization is a single owner. Ang tawag sa kanya ay proprietor, who generally is also the manager of his business. Next would be partnership. So itong partnership, this is a business owned and operated by two or more persons who bind themselves to contribute money, property, or industry to a common fund with the intention of dividing the profits among themselves. So that is the essence of partnership, yung in the end, divide sila ng profits among themselves. Then number 3 is the corporation. So it's a business owned by stockholders, and it is an artificial being created by the operation of law, having the rights, succession, and the powers, attributes, and properties expressly authorized by law or incident to its existence. So there is still a fourth form of business organization, that is cooperative. Somewhat similar to a corporation, pero may mga features lang na magkaiba sila. Like, for cooperative, one-man vote lang. Pero for corporation, your voting rights will depend on the number of stocks that you own in a certain corporation. Next would be the purpose of business organization. So we can also classify business organizations according to their purpose. So we have 3. So the first one is service. So these are companies who perform services for a fee. So example, yung mga accounting firm, mga auditing firm, law firms, for example. So we are availing of a service or services of a certain company. Of course, for a fee. Then number 2 is merchandising. So companies purchase goods that are ready for sale and then resell them to customers. Then for manufacturing, so here the companies will buy raw materials and then convert them into products and sell the products to other companies or to final consumer. So that's how manufacturing works. Now there is this what we call transformation of raw materials into finished products for it before it will be sold to the customers. Okay. Next discussion would be related to micro, small, medium enterprises. So what is it all about? Micro, small, medium, and enterprises. So it was on May 23, 2008 that RA number 9501 was signed into law by President Macapagal Arroyo. So this law seeks to address problems facing MSMEs, particularly the lack of capital and access to credit. Kasi namamroblema yung maliliit na negosyo kasi wala silang kapital, and banks then would not trust of lending them amount of money which they can use as their capital. But because of this law, RA 9505, the banks and lending institutions are required to allocate at least 10% of their loan portfolio to MSMEs. So, ngayon, meron ng batas no nagsasabi na dapat yung mga bangko, mga lending institution, at least 10% of their loan portfolio should go to MSME. And it is broken down as follows. So, of the 10%, 8% will go to the micro and small enterprises, and 2% goes to the medium enterprises. Because in the old law, what was provided is only 8%. So, meaning at least ngayon, mas malaki na yung percentage ng portfolio na naka-allocate para sa mga medium, small, or micro, small, and medium enterprises. So, how do we define micro, small, and medium enterprises? So, you have here, pag sinabing micro enterprises, these are those companies whose assets before financing would reach 300 million or less, and they employ not more than 9 workers. So they are considered still as micro enterprises. Now, can you think of some micro enterprise with this particular qualification? For you to be called micro enterprise, dapat yung assets mo before financing ay 3 million or less. And then, dapat not more than 9 workers lang ang meron ka. Now, for small enterprises, these are those companies with assets before financing of above 3 million to 15 million. And they employ 10 to 99 workers. Lastly, for medium enterprises, these companies have assets before financing of above 15 million to 100 million and employ 100 to 199 workers. So, yun yung mga medium enterprises. So, let us look into the activities in business organization. So, basically, there are 4 activities. Or should I say there are 3 activities in a business organization. So we have financing, we have investing, and we have operating activities. So pag sinabi natin financing activities, so ito yung mga activities involving pag-acquire ng mga. So again, ito yung activities ng mga business organizations wherein they are going to acquire or secure funding, financial resources from other entities. Like, for example, pwedeng nag-borrow sila ng money from a bank, or merong nagdagdag ng kanyang investment na owner. So, meaning additional investment by the owner. So, yun yung mga examples ng financing activities. And anong gagawin nila dun sa pera? They're going to use them to produce goods and services. So, take note that the primary sources of financing for most business are the owners and the creditors. Second, for the investing activities, so here, managers use capital from financing activities to acquire all the resources used in the transformation process. So, example ng investing activities ay ang company bumili ng additional equipment or machine. So, yung mga non-current assets na yan are considered mga investing activities yan. Then lastly, we have operating activities. So it involves the use of resources to design, produce, distribute, and market goods and services. So everything that involves the current operation of the company, like for example, payment of salary, sale of goods. So these are considered operating activities of the business organization. Then we have to proceed to the accounting function. So what is accounting? Now, as what we have defined, it is the art of recording, classifying, and summarizing in significant manner and in terms of money, transactions, and events, which are in part or at least of financial character, and interpreting the results thereof. So it is an information system that measures, process, and communicates financial information about an identifiable economic entity. So what are the phases of accounting? So first is there is what we call measurement. So before the effects of transactions can be recorded, they must be measured. So when you say measured, we assign peso value to the business activity or the business transaction. And then after that, no, for those data to be useful in making decisions, they will be recorded. And of course, after recording them, they have to be classified. So this has something to do with posting, grouping of accounts, no? Grouping similar accounts, and summarize. And when you say summarize, this is the time when we are going to prepare our financial statements. So after going through the preceding phases, it is imperative that the results of the summarization phase shall be interpreted and analyzed. That is to evaluate the liquidity, profitability, and solvency of business organization. So it's not enough that we prepare financial statements, but what is equally important is we are able to interpret the financial statements because, as I've mentioned, there are more information that we can get, no, from the financial statements rather than mere amounts or figures. Kasi the figures, the amounts presented in the financial statements has a lot of story to tell. No? So you have to interpret the information in the financial statements for it to be more meaningful. Then we have the Pacioli's double entry bookkeeping. So double entry accounting system states that for every debedare or should give, there exists a debe habere, no? Or should have or should receive. So that's the double entry accounting system, no? If you have given something, you should be receiving something in return. So it's always a two-way transaction. You have given out and then you have received also something. So that's a give and take na relationship. So that's double entry accounting system. So dapat dalawa, at least two, no, accounts are affected by a business transaction. Then under the Pacioli's double entry bookkeeping, he introduced the 3 books kept by business. So first is the memorandum. This is the book where all the transactions are recorded. And then noon, meron silang journal, which is the merchant's private book. Tapos meron siyang ledger, which is an alphabetical listing of all business accounts along with the running balance of each account. So here, still under Pacioli's double entry bookkeeping. So financial accounting, which concerned with the supply of information to the owners of the entity. So yung financial accounting, they're more sensitive to the needs of the owners of the entity. No, kasi yung usually owners, especially kapag corporation yan, wala silang direct contact, or parang wala silang say or hindi sila hands-on sa operation. Kasi nga, merong board of directors, merong management, no, who are taking care of or taking care the affairs of the business. So that's why through financial accounting, no, makakakita sila ng tinatawag nating general purpose na financial reports, which they can use in making decisions whether to retain their investment or to withdraw or get back na their investment. Another is the management accounting. So, itong management accounting, ang kaibahan ng sa financial accounting is that it is more concerned with the supply information to the managers of the entity. So, while financial accounting is following certain standards, na meron talagang sinusunod na standard, itong management accounting, wala siyang standard din na sinusunod. For as long as you're able to present or give valuable information to the users of the financial statements or to the users of the information. Okay, then we'll proceed to the career opportunities that awaits for an accountant. So we already discussed this in the previous video. So we have public practice, commerce and industry, or we term it private, government service, and education or academe. So let's start with public practice. So this is the opportunity that a CPA can practice accountancy individually or as a member of public accounting firms. Second is for commerce and industry or private accounting. This is an opportunity that a CPA can be an employee of the company that the position requires, and that the position requires that the person is a professional accountant. Then the third one is for the government service. These are opportunity of a CPA as an employee of the government, where the position should be handled by a CPA based on the Civil Service Commission policy and regulations. Then we have the academe or education. So this is the opportunity of a CPA that will use their skills, abilities, talents, and knowledge in molding the future CPAs in the colleges and universities. Then we have branches of accounting. So we have 7 branches of accounting, auditing, bookkeeping, cost bookkeeping, costing, cost accounting, financial accounting, management accounting, taxation, government accounting. So isa-isahin natin. So auditing. So yung auditing na nire-refer dito is yung external auditing. So an external audit examination that ensures the fairness and reliability of the reports that management submits to its users outside the business entity. So yan, kasi yung mga external auditor, what they're going to do is mag-certify sila that the financial statements were prepared in accordance to GAAP or generally accepted accounting principles. So next branch should be bookkeeping or cost bookkeeping, costing, and cost accounting. So pag sinabing bookkeeping, it's a mechanical task involving the collection of basic financial data. So what we'll be doing in this particular subject, ACC111, is we do bookkeeping. Now we'll try to develop our bookkeeping skills. So for cost bookkeeping, costing, cost accounting, so what you're going to do is to record cost data in the books of accounts. So to know kung magkano na ba ang cost ng product na ito, kasi that could also be your basis in setting up your price. Next would be financial accounting. Again, this focused on the recording transactions and periodic preparation of reports. So, gawa ka ng financial statements in the financial accounting. Then, financial management. responsible for setting financial objectives, making plans, obtaining finance, and safeguarding the financial resources of the entity. So next we have management accounting, so which incorporates all type of financial and non-financial information from a wide range of sources. So as mentioned kanina, management accounting is more concerned of providing information to the manager. So internal users yung target ng management accounting. For taxation, this is the preparation of tax returns and the consideration of tax consequences of proposed business transactions or alternative courses of actions. So next would be taxation. So in this particular branch of accounting, so what we're going to do is to prepare tax returns. Returns ito klasa. And the consideration of tax consequences of proposed business transactions or alternative courses of action. So we do here tax planning. No, kasi we want, as much as possible, we want to avoid tax in a legal manner. So there is some possible ways, no, on how you can actually reduce your taxes legally. So that is through tax planning. Then we have government accounting, no, which is concerned with identification of the sources and uses of resources consistent with the provisions of city, municipal, provincial, or national laws. So yun naman yung related sa government accounting. So kasi this is fund, no, of money of the people. So you have to account for it correctly also. So there are accountants, no, there are CPAs na naasa government so they're performing tasks, no, related to government accounting. So yun, no, para ma-account talaga yung pera ng bayan, no, ng mga taxpayers. Okay? So that will be all for this video. If you have questions, feel free to ask me during our online virtual class. Na? So, maraming salamat again and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!